how can I be sure of this? Well, it's because as a private labeler, I list things differently than resellers do because resellers have so many different SKUs, but there's a lot of uniformity on my back end. So because I sell car seat covers, my listings kind of look like this. Hey, what's going on, loungers? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Mason T, and I am a 20+ year importer and product developer. So today we're going to have a bit of an eBay discussion through the lens of a private labeler. Now, what do I mean by this? There's a lot of discussions out there about how eBay works. However, the problem is that most of them are all about resellers talking to other resellers about anecdotal reseller experience. And when that occurs, your worldview becomes very fenced off as compared to other people who are private labelers like myself or other people who are casual sellers. So today's topic is going to be something of a doozy, which is ESS explained. So some of you already know ESS stands for end, sell, similar. And everybody seems to have different anecdotal experiences with this. And because of that, we have what? Some empirical data of some people saying that it definitely works. They swear it works. And then some people are saying sometimes it works. And then other people saying, meh, tried it, didn't really do much for me. And why is that? Well, I want you guys to hear my explanation because I think the better explanation is one that applies to all sellers on eBay as opposed to just reseller experience. Because if you really want to level up your knowledge and understand how eBay works, it's got to be things that apply to everyone. So we have empirical data. Basically, all you have is what? If A, then B. If A happens, then B occurs. So every single time I do end sell similar, it works for me, right? But what's the problem with empirical data? It doesn't account for the technical explanation. So now your knowledge is very archaic. I just know that every single time it rains outside, I have joint pain, but I never went to go see a doctor to find out exactly why. It's kind of like that. So here's what happens, right? Every single time you put up a new listing online, we have to what? We have to select the category of where we're going to put it in. So we're just going to take my business as an example, and I am doing automotive items. So eBay Motors, right, is the name of the game for me. So I list my car seat covers into eBay Motors, and then it's in interior parts and accessories, and then into seat parts and accessories, and then finally seat covers. That's my category. But there's more that happens on a granular level, actually, but not at first. It needs time in order to do that. So what I'm showing you here is how far as humans we can drill down to the core of the earth, right? This is as far as we go. And then the rest has to be handled by the algorithm. So you could say it's eBay, you could say it's Cassini, like however you want to put it, right? The point is that they take over from there. And then what happens is that they broadcast to a wider audience in the beginning. So let's just say the whole audience here is eBay Motors. And then when we move on to interior parts and accessories, you see where this is going, right? The scope starts to get more narrow. And then as we move on to here, it gets even more narrow. And then as we come down here, it gets even more narrow. And then this is basically what we're working with. So during this time, there is a propagation. There is a propagation period. What is propagation? Well, if you ever built like a website, brand spanking new, it's not going to be on the internet immediately. Okay, you need like 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours as the internet starts to get more congested, and then it shows up. So during this period, you'll notice something very interesting, and this is why I know that this happens. Every time you put up a brand new listing, you get a suggested ad rate. So let's just say item X that we put on. And the suggested ad rate is always what? At the time of this video and all the years before it, it always defaults at 9%. Have you guys ever noticed that? And then give it some time, and this 9% could go up or it could go down. Why? Because it's getting more situated, right? So as it starts to figure out what the demographic really should be, it starts to shrink the audience even more. But during the propagation period, and you are slightly broadcasted to a wider audience, you're going to start getting more views initially. So this is why people say, I swear by sell similar, it gives me more views, it puts me on top of a stack, etc., etc. Now, I want to interject real quick that my business is very different than other people's businesses, because when you are a reseller and you are still dealing in single one-off items and I am dealing in continuous items, I don't sell similar because I'm not trying to lose my metadata. And therefore, all of the anecdotal experiences of people talking about, yeah, well, I spoke to the eBay rep, I get a different eBay rep. You get a different spiel than I get, because an eBay rep is not going to tell me to sell similar because they know I'm going to slap them upside the head for even suggesting that, right? So what do I get? I get, hey, Mr. Mason, would you like, external promoted traffic, blah, blah. They're always trying to get me to do just more promotion and stuff. They'll never tell me, yeah, it's helpful if you do the sell similar thing. It's when they know you're stuck in a business model now where you are just doing the one-off things, then they might as well just keep you doing more activity online. So basically, your eBay rep and my eBay rep, two different scripts. Anyways, the point is that during this propagation period, as things start to get settled in, it depends on what your item is. So if you're selling an item that is very applicable to many people, for example, a kitchen item like a cutting board or something like that, turns out everybody eats. So therefore, you're going to say, man, ESS works. Because when it gets spread out to the wider audience, there's a chance of impulse purchases from the slightly wider audience. And if you're kind of like an everything seller, then it only works like sometimes. But for the people like myself who are dealing with things that are very, very item specific, right? Like it only applies to certain makes, certain models, certain kits, certain reasons, then it doesn't matter if the audience is wide. I'm always going to be hyper focused on the people that I'm really trying to be selling to, right? And that's why for those people, meh, sell similar really doesn't do much at all. So how can I be sure of this? Well, it's because as a private labeler, I list things differently than resellers do, because resellers have so many different SKUs. But there's a lot of uniformity on my back end. So because I sell car seat covers, my listings kind of look like this. So for the sake of shorthand writing, car seat covers for Toyota. Car seat covers for Honda, right? And then it just gets really spammy, right? Car seat covers for a Dodge, right? Okay, so what happens here? The whole thing is the exact same listing. It's the same photo, same item specific, same everything, except for just one key word, which is Toyota Camry, Toyota Corolla, Dodge Charger, et cetera, stuff like that. And because of that one little alteration, right? A Dodge generally asks me for somewhere around 11% promoted rate. And a Honda they usually ask for somewhere around 17. And Toyota, you know, they got the biggest line. So basically Toyotas are usually around 18 plus, 18 plus percent. My handwriting's so bad, excuse me. Okay. So what's the issue? The issue that it doesn't work for people like myself because my item is very specific. It's muchos specificos. I'm kidding. I just like speaking in broken Spanish sometimes because it's such a American thing to do, you know? I know it's muy específico, okay? Apropiquito. Anyways, so the thing is that you need to understand how stuff is sold, right? And to understand sales velocity and why it even happens. For example, let's say an item, okay, our item X over here, it sells every single time it gets about 5 views on average, right? So let's say when we look at our back end and it says like 60 views, 12 sales, that we know about 5 views on average, cha-ching, this thing sells, right? And we would label this as a high velocity item. Okay. But then there are other items that probably need 25 views, right, in order to make a sale. So what happens here? When you transform your business from a hustle into a repeatable business, right, then you could start developing the sales history to help your listing rank upwards. Okay, we're going to rank up. So for most listings over here, they're always in where? This gray area of propagation as a newbie listing. So why does this keep happening? Because you're a newbie, that's why, right? And it doesn't happen when you are ranked up, and you would never reset your metadata. So once you understand that if we take an item and then we could sell it successfully and we could get more of that item, and then we start to rank up in the views, then what's happening here? Because we're not in the back pages anymore and we're in the front pages, we're collecting those 25 views at a much faster rate than if we were in the back pages. And that is sales velocity explained. So when you think of somebody who has a Nintendo controller and he sells 1 every 3 days, and then somebody else can sell 10 every single day, then what's happening here? Seller A, who is the one-off seller, only has 1, sells it, and he thinks that was very fast. But somebody who is an established listing that's already ranked up sells 30 times the amount as what seller A does. So when people talk about the sell-through rate and the sell-through velocity and whatever, the truth is, without a high-ranking listing optimized with photos and, you know, all of the bells and whistles into it, the description, like everything done properly, the correct settings, you have no idea what the velocity of your item actually is. You have no idea what the power of the sell-through rate actually is because you have no analytics. And the reason why you have no analytics is because you don't have the sample size to produce that. So many times when sellers are stuck in analysis paralysis, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because you don't have meaningful data in front of you in order to decipher anything. Another way to look at sales is to think of a bus, right? The wheels on the bus go round and round. Okay, I'm going to draw a whack little bus like that. Whoop, whoop. Like that, okay? There's a bus. And let's say you have a rare item, and the bus is the customer. And people who are looking for this particular item only comes around once every 10 months, okay? Now what happens? Let's say at the moment, right? At the 9-month mark over here, I decide to do like a end sell similar. And then after I do this, a couple of days later, my item sells. And that's going to give me an anecdotal experience of like, oh, this works. And another dark hole that it could lead you to, right, is that what? Let's say 9 months has passed already, but then we just listed our item 1 month ago. So it's the difference between 9 months and 1 month. So now this item that you listed for this type of a customer sells within 30 days. And that's going to give you anecdotal experience that like, yeah, this item sells within 30 days. But then the next time when you come across it and then you list it again, right? Only 5 months have gone by. And this is roughly about a 10-month customer. So it's probably not going to sell for the next 4 to 5 months. And then you're going to be like, what happened? Oh, maybe it was a downward trend or something. This is the problem with anecdotal empirical data. It doesn't explain what is actually happening, right? And that is exactly why I make these videos. You know, guys, when we come back and think about selling things online, it has always just been a combination of having a good item as well as a good listing. And when you understand how sales velocity and ranking up listings work, you see the importance of getting into a repeatable, replenishable model. All we're really trying to do is give ourselves a chance at virality here. Imagine me doing this YouTube video right now and it has to be taken down after a single or just a few views. There wouldn't be no chance of any channel ever blowing up if that is the case. So when people talk about, hey, you know, I'm not looking to get rich or anything like that. Yeah, but the thing is, your current setup, that's not even on the table for you. You got to give yourself a fighting chance. And you know what? The truth is, how well something sells, we have no control over that either. What we do have control over it is if something's no good, we don't do it anymore. But something's good, we could keep repeating this process. And that's how businesses are supposed to grow. When we come back and compare it to the one-off model here, yes, a lot of people will argue that monetarily, the risk of it is very low because you just go ahead and try single items. But low risk is also very low reward. And when you think about how difficult it is to go out, find something that people want, sell it successfully, and then come back and find out, we got to start it all over again. The cost of resetting that business over and over again, the time that's lost, I would argue that is costing you way more than the low risk of getting into it. And that's really the angle. Anyways, guys, that is the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a big like. And if you learned something, please consider subscribing. As always, see you guys in the next. Take care.